Hi, I'm Rita Hinners, and I tested positive for COVID-19 on March the 20th, and I was admitted to Schneck Hospital, and I was here at Schneck for 33 days.
My name is Sonia Forwalt. I am Rita Hinners' daughter. My mother was diagnosed with the COVID-19 on March the 20th, admitted to the hospital here at Seymour at Schneck. She was in the hospital total for 82 days, 33 days here at Seymour at Schneck, a part of that at Kindred at Indianapolis, and a part of that at Columbus for rehab. And it was the hardest 82 days of my life. And she had called me on her way home on that Sunday, and she just told me, she said, I don't feel right. You know, my throat kind of hurts. When I would text her, she wouldn't text me right back. Or when she would text me back, sometimes I would get
Didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense. And so I called my sister-in-law, and she's like, Sonia, she said, why don't you call her doctor? So I called Dr. Michelle up here. I actually talked to Dr. Michelle. She called Mom, and that's when Michelle told her, she said, I want you to go to the ER. You know, and she had told me, she said, well, I think they're going to admit her. You know, she said they have tested her for the COVID. And I'm like, okay. Before I got back to North Vernon, the hospital called me and they said, we have to intubate her. And I was like, okay. I said, we have to do what's best. So then before they intubated her, they asked her, they said, well, who do you want to make your decisions? And she couldn't really talk, so she pointed at Dad through the window. And so then when I talked to him later on that day, I kind of went over everything that I had been told. And I said, now you understand everything, right? And he said, yes, I do. And he said, but the only thing is he says, I can't make all these decisions by myself. And I said, Dad, I said, you don't have to. But yeah, his did come back positive. The only things that Dad had was, Dad's wasn't, he said he felt like he had the flu. And then I got lucky. He got to go home on that Saturday. So, not that I didn't have to worry about him, but I had to worry less on him.
I'm Kelly Turner. I'm a registered nurse at Schneck Medical Center. I was with Rita Hinners from day one, coming here to the hospital day in and day out and working with COVID patients, and seeing just how quickly this virus can progress with some folks is enough to scare you.
You were my eyes and ears, and I had told you that numerous times, you know, and it was, and you, or whether it was Dr. Olson, Dr. Chambers, or Dr. Stone, none of you would beat around the bush. You know, you can't do that. You know, I mean, you would, as simple things as going around the room and, okay, well, this is what this is, or this is what that is, you know. She would take us over to the window and say, okay, well, here's a view out her window. And those were just the things that she made us feel like that we were in the room. And that's, you know.
Yep.
I mean, if it wouldn't have been for not being able to come in here, I mean, I would have been in here every day anyway.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's just, it made me feel like that I was here, you know.
When I heard that your speech was getting better, oh my goodness, that was music to my ears. I was so happy. I remember the day that the decision was made that you needed the trach, and I was really happy to hear that you were talking again. And
yeah, that was hard for me not to be able to talk.
I bet. That's what Sonia said.
I said, oh my gosh, she's not going to be able to talk. You know, and of course the thing is with the whole trach thing, it was, you know, you go, all the scenarios play through in your head. And I mean, and Kelly would walk me through it, and Linda, the
Nurse.
one nurse, you
Linda
know,
Smith.
it was just like what I said, you know, she stood over top of Mom
Yep.
one day, and she said, if this was my mom, this is what I would do. And I mean, and she just,
I remember that.
she laid it out on the line.
Yep.
And that's all I needed. All I needed was somebody else outside of my little bubble to say, you need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to save her life, this is what we got to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then you think, oh my gosh, is she going to have this trach for the rest of her life? Is she going to do this? And I'm like, you know what though? I don't care. She would be here. That's all that mattered.
And I think that's exactly what you said
Yep.
over the phone.
Yep.
Yep. You said if it's going to help my mom live, then
Yep.
we can deal with whatever.
Yep. Because going from being put on the ventilator to a blood clot in her arm and happening to be put on blood thinners to doing the proning and why they were doing the proning and just everything.
And see, I don't remember any of that. But I think I'm glad that I didn't. The thing that amazed me was when they explained how they turned me and how long it took and how many that it took. That's what amazed me.
I've been a nurse for 12 years, and I've never dealt with an illness where we didn't have a clear plan on how things would go. And there was so much uncertainty. And every time Rita would cross a hurdle, it was the best feeling. We crossed it with her. Being there for her family meant everything to me. I can't imagine what her family went through. I can't imagine not being with my mother if my mother were to get COVID and be so sick. And her family is very vulnerable at that time too. And I wanted to do whatever I could to give them comfort when I knew that they had none. And then when I would have Sonia on camera, you know, I would say to her, anything you want me to do, you know, anything at all. So I wanted to be Sonia's hands.
The hardest 2 days was Easter Sunday and Mother's Day. And I think that Easter Sunday, you know, of course, was just a few weeks after.
You know what? I think the day, Rita, that you left, oh my gosh, I wish you could see what your your recuperation did for the medical team. No, I'm being serious. Walking you down through those hallways, and we were all so proud because there was a time when we weren't sure. And but being able to walk you down to that ambulance was the best feeling. And I was so proud of every single nurse that took care of you, every doctor that took care of you, respiratory therapy. It was literally a team of people that worked very, very hard. But gosh, what a proud moment. Because thinking about working with a virus that we were learning about as we were, taking care of folks, and getting to witness the two of you seeing each other for the first time in all that time. And it was so cute because Sonia goes, "Can I touch her?" And Dr. Chambers was like, and Dr. Stone, yes, please, go touch her. But that, to me, it was almost like, here I've got to be with you this whole time. And it felt so good to literally hand you off to your daughter and go, here she is. Here, you got your mom back,
Yeah.
Because for so long we were your family. And
you still are.
I know.
I think that this hospital is the reason that she is here today.
Well, I was always a person in control of me, my husband, my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids, and that kind of went out the window for a while. But I'm just thankful that I am here to be with them and know that I had good care.
We can't say thank you enough for everything that was done and continues to be done for Mom.
Getting stronger, and my
Her
voice. I hate my voice.
I love your voice because
Oh,
I didn't
thank
hear
you.
it for the longest time. I do. Knock on wood, I have never contracted COVID. My antibodies came back negative. Obviously, the precautions that we use are working. I see our housekeepers in the rooms cleaning thoroughly after a COVID patient leaves a room, using the UV light, really taking the time to make sure that nothing is missed.
At Schneck, we have a very detailed infection control plan that's really set in place by national entities. We also are fortunate enough to have our infectious disease physician here as well, and an infection preventionist that help us move those guidelines. Environmental services and the nursing staff are all key into making those processes work. A piece of making that work is the UV light that we use. That's just an extra layer of protection in decreasing infections in our hospital.
So what we do with the UV light is we have not changed our process, and we don't want to change our process on cleaning. So we do the same process for every patient every time. Our environmental service staff have been trained to clean in a systematic way. They start in a certain area and they move around so that they know that they did every spot. They do that no matter what. And then the UV light is just a supplement. It's an enhancement so that it makes sure that we've gotten all those germs so that we do not transfer anything to another patient.
So once COVID began, we started seeing a lot more demand for the UV lights. Like I said, we already use them in our terminal cleans with all the isolation rooms and the ED rooms. But we also started getting a lot more demand for outpatient procedure rooms. Respiratory therapy uses them quite frequently. And then also any room that we've had a suspected COVID case in, whether it be a inpatient or outpatient, making sure that we use that as another layer of disinfection on top of our manual cleaning.
So adding more UV lights, there is definitely a need. Right now, we have to prioritize, make decisions on what area of the hospital is going to get it. We currently use it in our operating room every evening. So each operating room gets it each night. And then our ICU, whenever a patient is discharged from there, those rooms get it. So those are definitely our top priority. And then we have other areas that get it frequently too. So if we have a patient that came in with any kind of infection, we're going to use that UV light. But there's other areas in the hospital that are high risk also. And so those are where we need more to try to combat more of these germs, like our cancer center. With only 2 of them, they're constantly radioing, hey, I need this UV light, and it's busy right now. They can't get to it. So having more of those would definitely help us to utilize that service more.
So these UV lights are going to be crucial for us moving forward as we continue to see increasing numbers just here locally within the last couple of weeks. But even past the pandemic, when we're continuing to try to decrease our infection rates even further, trying to turn over our rooms quicker so that we can get more patients in as we need to. So these UV lights not only help protect our patients, but they also help protect our staff. Our staff are working here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and coming into contact with all sorts of infectious material. And so having these lights to be able to not only clean the patient areas, but also our staff areas. And so these UV lights will help to decontaminate that and help to keep our staff safe, so they're not also taking this home to their families, taking it out into the community, or passing it on to other patients. It gives us just another layer of safety and that personal protection for everybody. In March, when the pandemic hit our area, we went from no COVID-19 patients to within a week, our entire critical care area was full of COVID-19 patients. And really since the middle of March, March 18th is when our hospital went on a restriction for visitors and kind of closed outpatient areas. When that happened, and up to today, we've had COVID patients the entire time. Some have not been as serious or had the complications that other people have had. Unfortunately, Rita had a very prolonged stay and needed a lot of rehab after she left our care. However, we've had lots of patients that have been able to come in and within a couple days feel better and are able to go home. But that doesn't mean that our mission changes. We're still here to take care of the community and to take care of those patients, no matter what their complications or if they don't have complications, just to help to make sure that our community makes it through this pandemic with as little tragedy as possible.
I hope that patients and the community recognize the level of care that we give, that like I've said before again and again, caring for patients here at Schneck is like caring for our family. I mean, how could you want more?